Get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a replay of mine. This is the KV-3, it's the Northwest map. I am top tier, and this is a sort of educational video, except not really. The message is going to be pretty obvious, but some people still don't seem to get what not to do, the particular scenario that's going to play out in this. I'm trying really hard not to give away what's going to happen here. I mean, it's going to become relatively obvious relatively quickly, but yeah, I don't want to just say at the beginning of the video, because I have a bad habit of doing that. I sort of, at the beginning of the video, I go, oh yeah, this video's, you know, this and this is going to happen, and everyone's like, Jedi, god damn you, and, you know, shakes their fist in the air. At least that's what I imagine. Anyway, it's a lot of tier 7 heavies. A lot, and it's actually relatively flat matchmaking. There's a couple of tier 6s, 2 scouts, 2 arties, and I decided to go along the northern ridge, because I tend to go this way. It's the main line of attack. I've always found on this map it's more if you're starting in the northern corner of this map, you attack along that AB line, and you kind of defend the 890 line. Although this is an 810 replay, so you might notice actually the eagle-eyed among you will have seen the minimap is different than the current version of Northwest, which has some extra features down here. It's got a bit of different terrain. That's not there. There's actually an extra route along there, so it offers some different possibilities. But for this iteration of the map, it was much more the case of, you know, you attack the north and defend the south, and, you know, vice versa. Now look at these guys here. The KV-1s, the IS, and the T-29. No resistance at all. An idea begins to form into my head. If there's no tanks there, maybe they all went the other way. Maybe there was a massive lemming train, and that was the thing I was trying not to say. We're only like 2 minutes in the battle, and yeah, we've only spotted one T-29, but the fact that they've gotten around that corner with no resistance at all is extremely telling. And because I'm in the KV-3, which is pretty slow compared to a lot of those machines, I decided actually to turn around, because I think my help might be needed. The tanks that are defending a lemming train, you know, a successful lemming train is actually a rush, and it all depends on the players who are actually, you know, leading this push. And if it is actually a push, then it has a chance to succeed. If the defenders are overwhelmed, if no one can get back to defend, then that's it. It's actually a valid tactic. But a lot of the time, it's not really a tactic so much as it's a bunch of players following each other who basically halt at the first sign of resistance. Now that might be the case here, and there's also some self-interest in that if I continue round and follow that group on which are now on the 1-2 line, there's going to be nothing for me to shoot at, because it looks like, you know, look at all these traces. They're all here. This is almost the entire enemy team. I want to actually be able to do some damage. I want to be able to make some XP and get some credits. This is the side of the map that I have to be on to do that, so that's another reason why I came back. Not only to defend the cap and stop it being a loss, but also to actually be able to have a chance of doing something in this battle. So I'm actually, this might look a bit daft, but you see that rock in front of me. Now that was quite lucky on the move. I don't think I've got 100% crew in the KV-3 at the moment. It's not one I play that often, but I kind of enjoyed it the first time round. Oh, there's a tiger there. Now, there is also artillery, but fortunately artillery is not focusing on me at any point. Lower front plate, that was not bad. That was just over average roll. I've had 355 was my first one, that was kind of low, but the next two were just over average, so I can't complain too much about that. Apologies for dog noises, by the way. Oh, little 38NA. Oh, I don't think you want to do that. No. Anyway, I am being a bit cautious about sticking the rear of my tank out too far, because that Tiger 1 is still there. And he's looking my way. Now he pulls back there, and then he goes forward again, which gives me a chance to shoot. Which is quite nice. So I'm kind of trying to defend myself on two sides-ish, but the guys on my left, the T-29s, principally the ISs, they're also engaged with the stuff around the corner, which, you know, they're taking a bit of a battering, but they are unwilling to push. And this is what separates a lemming train from an actual coordinated rush is that in a rush, you know, if there was some kind of coordinated tactics going on, the guys here would just push round and actually try and, you know, they would focus fire and take out the targets. But a lemming train is a rush without, you know, it's a headless chicken, basically. It's people all just, no one's willing to take the hits, no one's willing to take the damage, no one's willing to take the risk. So the whole thing just grinds to a halt, and at the moment it's just, I mean, it's 7-4, we are in the lead, and this is just a meat grinder now. This is just, I pop out, do some damage, pull back in, and I'm getting some nice side scraping action in here as well. That Tiger 1's still there, but at this point I've switched my focus back, and I'm just trying to get some damage in. And this is actually, there was every chance that I would have the 100mm gun, because I switch between guns on both this and the IS when I have the IS. I don't have one in my garage at the moment, but I'll rebuy it if it's ever on sale again, or some, you know, when I've got the spare credits, just so I've got all of the Soviet heavies, because I like the Soviet heavies. The tier 7 guns, you know, you get the choice of the 122mm or the 100mm, and the 100mm have got better aim time, better accuracy, but I think roughly the same DPM, maybe slightly lower, but obviously much less alpha, and people don't really get worried when they see one of those. The KV-3 is actually a slower platform than the IS, so it's not a terrible choice to use the 122, but I sometimes get really frustrated with the accuracy, so it's kind of like, if I'd had the 100mm, actually in this situation, doing these kind of peekaboo, I just would have been able to pop out sooner between reloads. And it's, although it's debatable whether I would have done as much damage. I'm really racking it up here. 3.7k now. I'm glad I came back. I really am. We're closing the pincer on the final few tanks, and 13.5, about to be 14.5. We've really, yeah. You don't actually see it that often these days, this kind of full-bore lemming rush. It seems to be a bit less common. When I started playing World of Tanks, you saw this a lot more often, and people complained about it a lot more often. The general consciousness of the failure of this, you know, air quotes, tactic in random battles, it seems to have reached a point where this is actually, at least for me, it's an uncommon sight these days to actually witness it from either, you know, perspective, as being on a team that is doing a lemming train rush or defending against one. And it's actually, like I said, if there's some kind of leadership and tactics involved, it's actually not a terrible tactic, but that's more for things like team battles. But in randoms, just nobody's, you know, there's no kind of leadership going on, there's no anything really, so it just almost invariably fails. The number of times that it succeeds are going to be vanishingly small. So out of that I got both Confederate and Sniper medal. Sniper with this 122mm gun is actually not bad. You can't get Sniper these days, but like I said, this is an 810 replay. Because it's relatively inaccurate, it doesn't actually hit home as often as one would want to be able to do all that much damage. Because I was actually fairly aggressive as well and got myself into that position, I was able to do a fair old chunk of damage there. I did probably double the amount of damage of any other individual on the team, and we can see the other side there, all the heavies that just zerg rushed our cap. It did not pay off. They were not doing enough damage. They just stopped in a really bad place, and they were just, I was able to take advantage of that. So that was not only, you know, not only a cautionary tale against the kind of lemming train that can happen, but it was also, I suppose, to state another obvious thing, you know, look at the damn minimap once in a while, because you can spot things like that happening if there aren't tanks on a, you know, let's say your tanks get to a point on the map and you think, okay, they should have met some resistance, then that tells you, that is information, that tells you that those tanks are elsewhere. Those tanks are, maybe they're camping their base, or maybe they're rushing through a different route, in which case maybe you should relocate. So it's all that kind of, you know, not only not being daft, but also seeing what information the minimap can give you about what the enemy team is doing as well. That sounded really obvious when I said it out loud, but some people still seem to miss that kind of thing. And because I was able to get where I was and take advantage of it that way, and because their attention was split, I was actually able to do quite a lot of damage there and get quite a nice result as well. So yeah, that was a nice match all round. And if I do get other nice KV-3 matches, I'm sure I'll put them up. And I do like the KV-3, it's a nice machine, but it feels kind of like I only went back and bought it because a bunch of the Soviet machines were on sale at one point. It's not really for me a keeper in the same way that the KV-4 is a keeper, but I've got enough garage slots and I like the Soviet tanks, so it's in there, you know, for a bit of variety. So if you enjoyed this video, this cautionary tale, I guess you could call it, you can hit the like button, you can leave a comment below, you can subscribe to my channel, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.